It may be late in the season, it may be Saturday, but it is rush hour in Atlanta. Everybody's racing to Turner Field. Why? A little baseball. A little more baseball. The Mets are in town. At Turner Field in Atlanta, the New York Mets play the Atlanta Braves. Have a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Atlanta. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets play the middle game of their series against the Braves. Mets won last night 5-0. Zach Wheeler got the win, but conspicuous by his presence and his performance was Jeurys Familia, who bounced back after a couple of down outings with a 1-2-3 inning. His 73rd appearance of the season, tying the Mets rookie record that Scott Rice set last year. But I think more important than the number of games is the way Familia has performed this year. He has become a mainstay in the Mets bullpen.
Well, his stuff is outstanding, and when the season started, the Mets bullpen was not in any kind of shape or form shaped up, and it was evolved where Familia was really in the middle and worked his way up the food chain, and now is the bridge. He's actually saved some games this year. He has great stuff. There's going to be open season next season with Mejia and Bobby Parnell returning, and Familia for that closer role. It's going to be very competitive in spring. I kind of like Familia in that role because it's a role where he can come in and start an inning. He gets a little bit nervous when he comes in with men on base. I think the closer role is outstanding. He's got lightning fastball and a razor blade slider.
From a hitter's standpoint, what specifically is it that makes Familia so formidable?
Well, he's got two fastballs, and he throws very hard. He can sink, and he can throw a straight one. He's got the razor blade slider. But what is most deceptive for him is he's got that kickback on his follow-through. He recoils on his motion when he releases the ball. Makes him very hard to pick up. It's the kind of pitcher I would not want to face.
On the mound, starting for the Mets tonight, is John Neese. It has not been a good second half for John, but his last couple of starts, he's looked a lot better.
Well, he went on the DL. Remember, he missed about the All-Star break and came back and had a real tough July. I think he's pitched pretty doggone good here in September. He's getting his curveball over. His velocity has been down, but he's throwing strikes. He's getting a big curveball over. He's pitching some tough luck. This is his third start against the Braves. He's 0-2 on the season.
And then there's the curious case of the Braves lefty Mike Minor, who looked last year like he was emerging to be an ace. It hasn't gone that way for him this year.
Well, that's why they got rid of Tim Hudson. They figured Minor was going to come and be the ace of the ball club. Won 14 games last year. Well, he had shoulder tendonitis early in the season, missed the whole month of April. It's been kind of a recouping season for him. His last 7 starts, he's pitched great, but his last time out, he got really rocked by the Texas Rangers.
So it's the two lefties going head-to-head tonight. Neese against Minor in the middle game of the series as Hammer and Hank looks on. Mets and Braves, all the action on Pix 11.
Honda dealer. Hurry into your local Honda dealer for great deals on the 2014 models. By Verizon, introducing Verizon Fios Quantum TV, redefining what TV can be. That's powerful. By Toyota, let's go places. By the New York Lottery, hey, you never knew. By Nissan, choose Nissan today for great offers on their most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. And by McDonald's, visit McDonald's today for a tasty bacon clubhouse burger or chicken sandwich at participating McDonald's. Get to Citi Field for Fan Appreciation Weekend when the Mets take on the Astros Sunday, September 28th at 1:10 p.m. The first 20,000 fans will receive a Casey Stengel bobblehead, courtesy of SNY and WOR, and all fans will receive a 2015 magnetic schedule presented by Hyundai. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Keys to the game brought to you by your Tri-State Kia retail.
Well, we got George on our mind. We all know, all you Met fans, about the dominance the Braves have had here at Turner Field. And Johnny be good? Well, Johnny has not been so good versus the Braves since 2013. And I'm free. Well, there's always someone in the Brave uniform that wears out the Mets. And this year it's Freddie Freeman.
Daniel Murphy had a big night last night with 4 hits. Mets lefties at the ready. Mets and Braves. First pitch is coming up. Everybody on board tonight?
Roger.
No secrets.
He has really done a fine job here in Atlanta with this pitching staff.
Hasn't been the pitching that has betrayed the Braves. They're third in the National League in ERA. Their offense, that's an entirely different story. They got shut out last night for the 15th time this year and the 7th time in their last 24 games. Here's your Toyota starting lineup for the Mets tonight. Different looking outfield. Curtis Granderson will be in center field tonight, and Eric Campbell gets his first career start in right field. Kurt Neuenheim still not 100% after passing a kidney stone. Juan Lagares is back in New York, getting his elbow checked out. Matt Dendecker not getting the start against the lefty, and so that's the unit the Mets will put out there tonight against Mike Minor.
Well, Minor, 6'4", 220-pound left-hander. 13-9 last year. Was a #1 draft pick, 7th overall in the 2009 draft. And as we said in the open, they expected big things from him, and that hasn't gone that way. Shoulder tendonitis early in the year, missed the month of April, but he's pitched good down the stretch.
Had a rough go of it his last start against Texas. He got battered around for 5 runs and 4 2/3, but his previous 5 starts, 2-2, 2.31, so he was beginning to hit his stride.
And we'll take a look at the Bravo defense, and that's Geico from your GeicoInsurance.com. And we got the Upton brothers in the outfield. Emilio Bonifacio in right field for the first time, and this kid Goslin at second base could play all positions around the infield. They like him. He's done a good job here with limited play late in the season. Laird behind the plate.
Mets are now 8-9 against the Braves this year after their win last night. They have 2 shutouts at Turner Field this year. That's the first time they've ever done that. The only other time the Mets had 2 shutouts in a season in Atlanta was in 1969.
You're right. Yes, I saw that, Gare. And there's a caveat with that, too, if I can find it.
What's your caveat?
I can't find it. My papers are all strewed across the...
Well, I can tell you that in 69, one of those shutouts was a complete game 3-hitter by Tom Seaver.
Right, and the other one was a combined shutout. Nolan Ryan, I think Cardwell started that game, or came in relief.
Right. Ryan got knocked out in the 3rd somehow. Don't have the details.
Probably Wild.
Maybe, but didn't give up a run because it wound up being a shutout.
Right.
Anyway, Eric Young leads off this game against Mike Minor and takes up and away for ball 1, and we're underway. Young had the put-away hit last night in the 9th inning. Drove in a pair with a bases-loaded single that gave the Mets their 4th and 5th runs in their 5-0 win. And EY takes a strike, and it's 1-1. Eric's base hit in the 9th inning last night snapped an 0 for 12 skid, getting the start for the 2nd straight night. Corners in against Young, who's hitting exactly the same lefty and righty this year, 236 from each side of the plate. And Minor gets a generous strike from Mike Winters, 1-2. And you see the corners backing up with 2 strikes. Murphy and d'Arnaud to follow. 26-year-old Mike Minor trying to have a strong finish to what has been a disappointing year. And he misses with the changeup. 2-2 to Young.
I'm sorry, Gary. Minor has given up 19 of his 21 home runs, which is a lot of home runs for 24 starts, to the right-hand batters.
And Young takes up and away and a full count. Minor last year 13-9. Pitched very well in his one postseason start against the Dodgers. And with the Braves losing 2 of their starting pitchers in spring training, Brandon Beachy and Chris Medlin, and Tim Hudson leaving as a free agent, he was supposed to be the guy. He walks Eric Young to lead off the ballgame. And so the Mets have their speedster aboard.
Well, that was a real rough March for the Braves. They got rid of Tim Hudson over during the offseason, traded the Giants, and there's the NL East standings. You can see.
The Mets have a chance to catch the Braves for second place by the end of the year, and that's something of a mini goal for the Mets over these last 8 games. Something you would not have thought was even a reasonable expectation even a month ago. But the Braves have been in free fall. Here's Murphy, who had 4 hits last night and nearly a 5th. Went 4 for 4 his last time up. He had a bullet right at the second baseman that was caught.
Murph has never had a 5 for 5, and it was just unfortunate. He hit a rocket right at the second baseman, as Gary said.
It was his 12th career 4-hit game. Only 2 Mets have ever had more, David Wright and Jose Reyes. And he's hit by the pitch. That one got him on the left arm. And the Mets have the first 2 men on. Well, Murph, remember, got drilled on that left arm, and it raised quite a welt a couple of weeks ago, right after he came back from the disabled list. And Ray Ramirez, the trainer, is going to come out and have a look. Looks like it was a little further toward the elbow this time than the last time he got hit.
The ball will bite you.
So Murph will stay in. 6th batter that Minor's hit this year, and he's got himself an immediate mess to contend with. 1st and 2nd and nobody out, and Travis d'Arnaud coming up. Travis hitting 3rd in the order for the 5th straight game. 0 for 4 last night. Young with 29 stolen bases, Murphy with 13. And d'Arnaud takes at the knees for a strike.
Generous strike again.
Lucas Duda, who hit the Big home run in last night's game. Waits on deck.
Only 62 strikeouts for d'Arnaud, almost 400 at bats. I like that.
And it's a big change from the early part of the year when he was striking out quite a bit.
Correct.
Before he went for his stint in Vegas that turned his season around. And what a turnaround it's been from a minor league stint to now the #3 hitter. And Minor works inside, 2-1. And drops the return throw.
Velocity down from last year. Here's Freddie Gonzalez, the manager of the Bravos. Minor had success pitching inside, but he had a couple extra miles on his fastball.
And you wonder whether that sort of full season residual from the shoulder tendonitis he had in spring training. I mean, we've seen it with John Neese, who's had similar shoulder problems. His velocity's down this year.
Well, you wonder how he recovered too. You know, you miss a month of the season. I don't care who you are. You miss a month. It's tough. Any month, it's hard to come back.
3-1 coming to d'Arnaud, and he gets under one to left field. Justin Upton going back onto the warning track, and just enough room to make the catch. Young tags at second, heads for third. The relay is not in time. Murphy moves up behind him, and the Mets have 2 in scoring position. Terrific base running by Young and Murphy to move up on that fly ball to left field.
Boy, d'Arnaud just got under it. He's been lifting a little bit too much lately. I like him better when he hits line drives. But good base running all the way around. Plays in front of Young. Doesn't need any help from his third base coach. With his speed, he can challenge that throw.
Would Upton have been better advised to throw that ball to second?
He would have had no chance for Murph. This ball's lucky he got under and got lifted a little bit.
So 2 in scoring position for Duda, and he holds the swing and stopped it in time. 1-0. Now, one of the things that's characterized Minor's difficult year has been his inability to get left-hand hitters out. Last year, lefties hit .217 against Minor. This year, they're hitting .357.
They're clobbering him.
So a chance for Duda here. Infield back. They'll concede a run on a grounder, and he lays off. And it's 2-0.
Well, he's just all over the place. Can't get his pitches over. Falling behind in counts.
I mean, those numbers are just. How do you explain something like that?
You don't. You just see so much inconsistency in today's game, Gare, from season to season. You really, as a general manager, can't bank on a majority of the players going, okay, player A, we're going to get 280 out of him, 80 runs driven in. It's not that way anymore. Guy has a good year, the next year he has a bad year. And I don't have the answers.
2-0 to Lucas, and that's off the plate. Now it's 3-0. Wilmer Flores waiting on deck. Now, dude is not a guy you expect to swing 3-0.
I think lefty, you would let him make him take here.
And he does. 3-1. Duda last night hit his 28th home run, a drive into the seats in right field, right into the popcorn bucket. Now 3rd in the league in home runs.
Paper bucket. Good cut.
Back the fastball, 3-2.
Good cut, Lucas. Here's the home run, but the catch is better than the home run, folks. You got to watch the tail end of this. Guy caught it with his popcorn. And how did that bat withstand the force of that line drive? That's what I want to know.
I want to know, did he eat the remaining popcorn after the baseball entered? Three-2 to Duda with Flores on deck. And Lucas lifts one to left center. That'll get a run in. Young tagging at third. B.J. Upton with the catch. Murphy will stay at second. Young comes in with the first run of the night. Sacrifice fly for Lucas Duda. His 86th run batted in. It's 1-0 New York.
Well, I would like to see Lucas get over the 90 mark. Get into the 90s in RBIs. He is 4 away now. 3-2 count, was it, Gare?
Yep.
Just got, he looking to go up the middle, got beat a little bit.
First run of the game brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. So a run is in. Murphy at second with 2 down, and Wilmer Flores the batter. Flores has a 6-game hitting streak after going 1 for 4 last night. And Wilmer lofts one to right, and Bonifacio drifts back and gets it backpedaling to end the inning. That's going to run without a hit in the opening inning and stake John Neese to a 1-0 lead. Places Emilio Bonifacio for the injured Jason Hayward gets the start in right field. Gerald Laird behind the plate. Phil Goslin, who played third base last night, moves over to second. Chris Johnson, who rested last night, is in the lineup. Well, John Neese will make the start for the Mets. Has himself an early 1-0 lead.
Well, John's going to have an under 500 season here. He's going to look, if he wins his last 2 starts, he can go 10-11. This is his 3rd start against the Braves. He is winless, 0-2.
Emilio Bonifacio will lead off for the Braves. Bonifacio, a deadline pickup from the Cubs, making his 21st start with Atlanta, getting the start in right field tonight with Hayward out with a thumb injury. And thinking about a bunt. 2-0.
Well, his 268 is for the season as a Brave in those 21 games. Hitting .233.
And Neese misses 3-0. Bonifacio, though, a switch hitter who's a much better right-hand hitter. In fact, he's hitting .382 this year as a right-hand batter. Phil Goslin on deck. Freddie Freeman behind him. Neese finally throws a strike, 3-1. For John, this is his 3rd start against the Braves this year. He pitched well in 1 and lost despite giving up 1 run in 6 innings. He pitched okay in the 2nd one and lost again. And he walks the leadoff hitter just as Minor did in the top of the inning. Well, as for Mike Minor, it appears that something is wrong with him. Freddie Gonzalez came out to the home plate umpire after talking to Minor between innings. And they've got David Hale up in the bullpen, so Minor may be out of this game after 1 inning.
Well, he's had the shoulder tendonitis. I got to believe he's got discomfort, so he's adios.
So whatever it is, it appears the Braves starter is going to have an early exit. And Freddie came out, told the home plate umpire Mike Winters about it so that he could be sure his pitcher would get as much time as he needed, because Minor's leaving because of some kind of medical issue. So there's David Hale getting ready in the bullpen. Meanwhile, Phil Goslin, the number 2 hitter, with Bonifacio, a base stealer aboard, takes a curveball inside, a ball and a strike. Goslin 0 for 4 last night. Just over 100 big league at bats, and you see hitting .297. This is his 24th start for the Braves. Mostly he's a second baseman, played third base last night.
They like this kid.
And he's really struggling with his command early. Misses with the changeup, and it's 2-1. John's last time out, he pitched very well against Washington. Had the one big hit against him, the Wilson Ramos 2-run homer, and that was enough to beat him. There goes Bonifacio. d'Arnaud's throw into the runner, and it's a stolen base for Bonifacio. 23rd of the year, and d'Arnaud's throwing issues continue.
23rd of the year, 9th as a Brave. He's still got to get rid of that wiggle.
d'Arnaud's got a lot of work to do on his defense in the offseason. His throwing, his blocking. 2-2 coming. And Goslin takes strike 3 call. Got him looking at a curveball. And that's the first out for John Neese.
Backdoor curveball indeed. Snuck it right in there. Good pitch. Got the corner.
So 1 away. With Bonifacio at second, and now Freddie Freeman. Freddie was 0 for 2 last night with a pair of walks. Significant walk when Zach Wheeler faced him in the 5th inning. One of the few innings where Wheeler was in real trouble. Gave up a double to Andrelton Simmons, worked around Freeman, and then struck out Justin Upton, and that was helpful in terms of getting Wheeler through 6 scoreless innings. Freeman at .290 for the year.
Way off the plate.
Fouls that one away.
And we'll take a look at the defense. It's brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Gary mentioned the different outfield today, Young and Campbell in the corner outfield positions. And same infield as last night. Herrera's back in there again for 2 straight starts.
I don't think it's a stretch to say that that outfield is not the Mets' best defensive combination. Slowly chopped to Flores, and a nice charge to throw out Freeman for the second out as Bonifacio stays put at second.
Well, you're going to play Campbell because of the left-hander, and now that's moot, but that's why he's starting his first start actually in right field this season. Granderson's 9th start in center, but you want to, if you're going to play Murph, but you're going to play Murph in third, and you're going to play Herrera, well then you've got to sacrifice somewhere else. And for me right now, I want to see Herrera play.
Yeah, the one thing I didn't understand in terms of the way the lineup was put together today is obviously you give up a lot in center field. Granderson, at one point in his career was a pretty good center fielder. That's not his position now. The trouble that Minor had against lefties, why wouldn't you play Dendecker and leave him in center field?
Well, you got a point there, Judge.
Now it's a moot point. Justin Upton 1 for 4 last night, and he's had big numbers against John Neese, 9 hits and 20 at bats. John has struggled against a lot of these Braves. He has not beaten Atlanta in the last 2 seasons. 0-3, 4.88 in 5 starts the last 2 years against Atlanta.
His 18th career start against the Braves, 6-6 lifetime.
Funny thing is, 18th career start against the Braves, but only his 6th in this ballpark. So the vast majority of his starts against Atlanta have come at home. Chris Johnson hitting 5th in the order, waiting on deck. Mets got a run without a hit in the top of the inning against Mike Minor, who appears to be finished for the night. And now Neese trying to work out of trouble, and it's lined right to Herrera, and that's how trouble ends. Right in Herrera's glove. So a leadoff walk, a stolen base, but Bonifacio is left, and after 1, the Mets have a 1-0 lead. seamless connectivity. Around the Majors brought to you by Hyundai. Looking for the brand that gives you more Hyundai can. Visit buyhyundai.com. The Dodgers blew a 6-1 lead this afternoon. Chris Coughlin hit 2 home runs, and the Cubs beat the Dodgers 8-7. The Dodgers lead is now 3 over the Giants, who played tonight. The Tigers beat the Royals for the 2nd straight day. 7 strong innings for Max Scherzer, is now 17-5, and Joe Nathan held off a rally in the 9th, and Tigers won 3-2. They're 2.5 up in the Central. And the A's lose. They got shut out by Jerome Williams and the Phillies. Williams with 7 scoreless. And Oakland loses 3-0. If Seattle can beat Houston tonight, Seattle would be tied with Oakland for the top wild card spot in the American League.
The American League has quite a wild card race. As you look at David Hale, has not pitched in 6 days. This will be his 44th appearance. He started 5 ball games. You look at his numbers, and
2 of those starts were against the Mets.
Yes.
Back in April when he was filling into their rotation. That was while Minor was hurt.
Looking at his numbers, it looks like he's had himself a nice year.
So Hale, the Princeton grad, comes in long relief after Mike Minor suffers left shoulder discomfort and comes out of the game after 1 inning. Curtis Granderson leads off in the 2nd and takes below the knees ball 1. So you're an offensive team, especially these days, the way they prepare. You're preparing for Mike Minor,
right? A
specific left-handed starting pitcher, and now here you are, you're first at bat, and you're facing a different guy, a right-hander.
Right.
How does that affect your mindset at this point in the game?
No effect. It's easy transition, Gare. Particularly if they bring in a guy that's not you like to hit, and you're a left-hand hitter, and you're having a tough time against a guy like Minor. There's really no. It's an easy transition on to the next.
Hale behind his first hitter, 3-0, and Granderson takes his fastball for a strike. See, Hale last pitched 6 days ago.
Yep.
That was the game that Minor started, and he gave up 3 runs in a third of an inning against Texas. And Granderson cracks one to center, slicing away from Upton, and that's down for a base hit going to the wall. And Curtis pulls into second base with a well-struck double. Now, we saw him get a double to left center last night, and this one tailing to left center for another 2-base hit.
And these are promising signs for Curtis. He's got to get back to his old ways. Okay, he's not in the friendly confines, the friendly right field confines of Yankee Stadium. He's got to use the whole field. He's playing in a much bigger ballpark at Citi Field, 81 games out of the year. He's got to become a gap-to-gap hitter again.
So Granderson's 26th double of the year gives the Mets a leadoff base runner, and now Eric Campbell hitting 7th in the order.
I've never seen what just happened right now. Did you see the second base umpire? He moved from the first base side of second base to the third base side when the pitcher was going into a stretch. That's Mike Moklensky,
youngest umpire on the crew.
I would step out if I was the hitter. That's a distraction, and I'd have to give him a glare. Don't you know where to go?
Well, the way he just shook his head, I think he knew that he had done a wrong thing. Speaking of which, we need to talk about what happened in Kansas City today.
Oh, yes.
Campbell shoots one to the right side, and that goes through for a base hit. Granderson's going to get waved home. Bonifacio with a throw to the plate on a hop. Laird with the tag, and he got it. Jim Tuffa being aggressive with the 8 and 9 hitters coming up, even with nobody out. Terry Collins is going to come out, and he might challenge. Mike Witters with the call said that Laird put the tag on sliding Granderson for the first out of the inning.
He made the tag. This nonsense has got to stop. Nice hitting by Campbell. Every intention of advancing the runner, of not driving him in. Just a good, strong throw from Bonifacio. And we'll see if the tag is made. If it is, and I'm sure it is, still hard, then he's certainly out. Yes, sir. He is definitely out. So that's what he
got him on the back end, presumably before Granderson's hand hit the plate.
Now you see what I'm talking about with that slide that I hate, that coming around with the hand, instead of hook sliding with your foot forward. Your foot will going to get there much faster than your hand, and I will demonstrate, as I've done countless times over the years. It is a slide that I do not like. It looks pretty, but it's not effective. And a play like this, it comes up really very clear. If you come sliding feet first, now you slide with that left foot first, your foot's going to get there ahead of your. The body's already by home plate, Gary, to make it clear, and you're tagging late with your hand. If you get your feet first on a hook slide, you might beat the tag, a better chance.
I think that a lot of players feel as though they can avoid a tag by sliding further behind the plate and then hitting the plate with their hand.
But when you're coming around third base, and you're running home, halfway home, and you make your judgment, you can look. The only play that makes you're blind on is the throw from left field. You can look and see where the throw's coming and how close the play is going to be. And you can see his body is by the home plate, and his feet would have been there a lot sooner, and he might have been safe.
What's interesting about that particular slide by Granderson, you see where he touched the plate? He touched the front of the plate. He could actually slide, if he's going to use that kind of slide further back behind the plate. He might have avoided the tag and then hit the back tip of the plate. So I think you're right that going in feet first is usually better, but if you're going to use that slide, it wasn't a particularly well executed one.
Lost in all this is a very strong throw by Bonifacio.
There goes Campbell. The throw, a terrible one by Laird, hits the runner, and that's the only thing that saves the Braves from Campbell being at third base. That's an awful throw by Laird. Campbell has his third stolen base, and if it hadn't hit Eric, he would have been able to get up and go to third.
Absolutely. Tough pitch to throw on, good backhand. And this ball has almost got the umpire.
So a runner in scoring position with nobody out.
Everybody feeling frisky early in this game.
Let's go back to Granderson trying to score. You've got the 8 and 9 hitters coming up, but there's nobody out. So what about the send?
I haven't got an issue with it. It was a boom boom play. It took a perfect throw to get him. And also too, Bonifacio made a nice charge. If the throw is up the line 5 feet or not as strong and powerful a throw, remember Bonifacio, can't recall him ever playing right field.
We've seen him in center field.
Right.
Three and 2 to Dilson Herrera, who went 1 for 3 last night. Also had a bases loaded walk in the 9th inning. And he smacks one deep down the left field line, back toward the corner, right near the pole. And it goes. It's a fair ball. It's a home run. A 2-run shot for Herrera. And the Mets now have a 3-0 lead. That ball just stayed fair inside the pole. Third home run for Herrera. And the Mets jump on Hale for 2 runs in the second.
Good for you, young man. Keep swinging. Don't look at that average. He's got some pop, Gare. That was a nice shot right down the line. Fastball up and he turns. There is the only doubt of this was whether it was going to be fair or foul, and that's way back. So that's a nice shot for him.
So the Mets with a 3-0 lead. And now John Neese takes a strike. Dilson Herrera got a couple of days off, Tuesday and Wednesday, because he was not looking good at the plate. Got on base a couple of times last night, and now a 2-run homer his first time up tonight. Herrera now with 3 home runs and 11 RBIs through his first 57 big league at bats. So 3 batters against David Hale, and the Mets have a double, a single, and a 2-run homer. Two and 2 to Neese. Eric Young waits on deck. And Neese strokes one toward the hole. Simmons on the backhand. The long throw. Safe. Neese with an infield hit. 4 straight hits for the Mets to start this second inning.
Well, Nice was smelling that hit. He hustled down the line. And actually, it's very nice hitting. Going with the pitch. It's just a terrific play by Simmons, the Platinum Man. A Derek Jeter-esque type throw.
Well, you remember we saw him make a play like that to help win a game for the Braves earlier this year, but not against the speed of John Nice. So Nice has his 4th hit of the season, and the Mets have a base runner with 1 out. Eric Young, the batter, and he lofts one to center. B.J. Upton coming on, and that's the second out. So that's the first batter that Hale has retired. 2 out and a runner at first, and now here's Murphy, who was hit on the left arm by a pitch his first time up. Mike Minor started the game, lasted just the 1 inning, left with shoulder discomfort. Will be further evaluated to determine his status, but you have to figure at this point they'll just shut him down the rest of the way. The Braves are mathematically alive in the wild card, but very close to being eliminated. Their magic number is 3. Mets were eliminated from wild card contention last night. David Hale, who grew up around here in Marietta, Georgia, and went to Princeton. Drafted in the 3rd round by the Braves in '09. And quickly ahead on Murphy, 0-2. Mets saw Hale twice as a starter, once here on April 10th, and they knocked him out in the 5th inning. He gave up 4 runs and 5 hits, 5 walks. Pitched much better in a game at Citi Field, 6 innings, only 2 earned runs. Tied to Murphy, 2-2. Didn't get a decision in either game. Both games were won by the Mets. Hale lasted just 5 starts in the rotation, then has been in the bullpen ever since. Murphy's 3 for 6 against Hale. 2-2. This is with a changeup, full count. So that'll get Nice in motion with Freeman playing behind him. Murphy lays off, ball 4. So the first walk given up by Hale, who's given up 4 hits and a walk in the first 6 batters he's faced, and that'll draw a visit from Roger McDowell.
Throw strikes, young man.
That's good advice. You could be a pitching coach.
That's right. Four hits in this inning for the Mets.
Hale was fortunate enough to have Granderson thrown out of the plate by Bonifacio. Otherwise, this inning could be even larger. Now 2 out and 2 on for Darnell, who barely missed a 3-run homer his first time up. Hit one to the warning track in left field. Helped set up the first run for the Mets. Nice at second, Murphy at first with 2 down. And the fastball inside to Travis. Toward the middle of the diamond, but that's where Simmons plays. And he gets the force to end the inning. But Dilson Herrera adds to the Mets lead with a man on against David Hale. Herrera on a 3-2 pitch. Launched one down the line. Kept it fair for his 3rd big league home run. And the Mets have a 3-0 lead in the second. games to 8, but you see it's been pretty evenly contested, each team averaging just about the same number of runs. And the Mets can even up the season series with a win tonight.
And the Mets got them in the lone postseason. No, they played many postseason together. I'm thinking of '69. They
played it
many, and the Braves got the better end of it.
Well, they played in '69, of course, and they played in '99 when the Braves beat the Mets in the League Championship Series. So they're even. Chris Johnson leads off in the home second inning and takes outside 1-1. John Neese now with a 3-0 lead. Anderson Simmons on deck. Gerald Laird behind him. And Johnson pops one up in the shallow center. Granderson tracking it. 1 out.
That time of night right now, it's just getting a little darker. But as Gary mentioned last night, which was a 7:30 start, it's a real tough sky here in Atlanta. No lights out in the outfield.
Well, it affects the outfielders. We also heard from Zach Wheeler last night that it affected his ability to read the catcher's signs. And that's part of the reason he and Travis d'Arnaud were having difficulty, because there's shadows on the catcher's fingers.
Right. So there's really the back of the catcher is to the lights, so his signs are in the shadows. There's no light coming forward from the outfield.
Simmons lines one into center field. That's down for a base hit. So Anderson Simmons, who had 3 hits last night, has a base hit his first time up tonight. The Braves' first hit against John Neese.
He got long with his swing this year, and that's a hanging curveball right there.
You look at the back of Curtis Granderson, and it's dark.
Yes.
With no light coming from behind him in the outfield. There's Gerald Laird with 1 out and 1 on. Laird getting the start behind the plate after Christian Betancourt started last night. And he flies one down the right field line. A long run for Campbell. And reaches out and makes a terrific catch. Eric Campbell with the shoestring grab, and he almost doubled Simmons off first base.
First base umpire Andy Fletcher called this ball fair, and that ball drops. That's a double in trouble.
It's a ball you see a lot of corner outfielders slide for, but Campbell doesn't have a lot of experience as a corner outfielder, so he decided to catch it on his feet and made the play.
Nice play for someone playing a position he's not familiar with.
First career start in right field. He played just 4 innings there before tonight. B.J. Upton hitting 8th in the order. Upton 1 for 3 last night.
Not a good season for B.J. Upton, and they've been kind of like that. I guess that is what he is, a 210 hitter.
Certainly what he's been since he arrived in Atlanta. He's a better player than that in Tampa Bay. But they signed him to a 5-year deal, and the first 2 years have been dreadful. .166 strikeouts.
I hear you. It's not good.
Right back to Neese. And easy play to end the inning. So helped out by Campbell, Neese gets through the second. 3-0 New York as we go to the third. A concert after the Mets Astros game next Saturday, September 27th, as part of the Mets concert series presented by Dwayne Reed. Catch Austin Mahone live in concert September 27th. For tickets, visit Mets.com/concerts. I don't think I've ever seen that in Atlanta before. Clear roads.
We didn't see it last night.
Sat stationary for about 45 minutes.
Was it 45?
Home. I don't know. It was a long time.
It was a half hour at least, minimum.
Lucas Duda drove in the first Met run with a sacrifice fly. He leads off in the third against David Hale, who begins his second inning of relief. It'll be Duda, Flores, and Granderson for the Mets in the third. So we were going to talk about the situation with the umpires in Kansas City and the strange sequence of events that transpired there in Detroit's 3-2 win this afternoon. It was a tie game in the sixth inning, and the Royals had runners at second and third and one out. Right? So Omar Infante, it's a line drive right to the second baseman, Ian Kinsler, catches it for the second out, tries to double the runner off second, and throws it away into shallow left field. The runner at third, Salvador Perez, broke for the plate, scored. Royals took a 2-1 lead. The Tigers then appealed and said that Perez never went back to touch third.
So the pitcher got on the mound and tossed over.
Right. Just a normal appeal play, and the umpires ruled safe. At which point, the umpires, for some reason, I guess Grant Ausmus came out to argue the call as Duda pops it up. And Simmons under it to make the catch.
Why would Ausmus come out and argue the call?
Well, I guess he was saying that they didn't call him out. They called him safe. So
they blew the call.
So now
I'm getting ahead of you.
You and I are saying that they blew the call. So Ausmus came out and said, "Could you talk about it? Am I allowed to challenge this?" And the umpire told him, "Well, I don't think you're allowed to challenge it, but let's get on the headsets to New York and ask." So they were told, and the rule is, part of the challenge rule is that you're not allowed to challenge on a tag-up play. It's one of those things that is not challengeable. So the umpires got confirmation that the play was not challengeable, and then they grouped together and discussed it, and they changed the call, and they took the run off the board. Now, the call that they wound up making was the right call. Perez did not go back to tag up at third base. But if you're not allowed to challenge it,
exactly,
and they appealed it and they made a safe call, what was it that caused the umpires then to overturn their call?
Obviously, it would be another umpire. We've seen it before, overrule another umpire that saw him not tag up.
But why?
I know where you're going here. I understand, and it shouldn't happen.
The question is, were they told from New York, hey, by the way, he didn't really tag up, why don't you go huddle and change the call, since we're not allowed to overrule it as part of the challenge?
They shouldn't do that.
I would imagine they're
not. Speculating. We're speculating.
We don't know that, but what else would have caused them after the fact, after they already gave a safe sign on the appeal play, to then go back after having talked to New York and change the call?
Well, what makes it suspicious is that obviously, okay, if it's what we think another umpire overruled, said, I saw he didn't tag up, a game of this importance, that he would have gone right to the umpire right away, boom, boom, and said, hey, he didn't tag up.
You would think.
So that's what makes it very suspicious.
Flores lines one to the left, and that's in for a base hit in front of Justin Upton. And the Mets have a one-out base runner. And the interesting thing is going to be to see if the Royals can protest the game, because it would appear as though something strange happened that should not have happened.
It's never going to come out, though.
The other problem is, when you look at the thing in totality, they got the call right.
I understand, but it's not a call that can be questioned.
So it's just one more of the quirks in the rules that they've laid down for this challenge system. And one of the reasons I assume that they made tag-ups not subject to challenge is because you're asking for replay now to look at two things at once. Right, you're looking at the catch in relation to when the runner left the bag, or whether he tagged up at all. And I'm assuming that they decided that would be too challenging to try and determine, as Granderson grounds out for the second out. Flores goes to second.
So if I'm the umpire that made the wrong call, and things transpired as they did, and then all of a sudden the second base umpire comes over and says, "Hey, he didn't tag up. You got it wrong." I said, "Well, where were you 5 minutes ago?"
Right. Well, that's
come on.
So
that's what makes us cynical up here, folks.
Well,
would be a good word for it.
I think what will be interesting is to hear what the explanation is from Major League Baseball, because apparently there was an explanation from the crew chief, but he was very vague about what happened in that conversation afterward and why he said something like there was a general consensus that it was what they eventually called. Now that doesn't sound very definitive, does it? So it'll be interesting to hear how the league reacts and whether the Royals, protest the game, and I don't know whether they
can. Don't you got to protest it right there on the spot? You can't protest after the game.
I think their question was whether they had grounds for protesting, and I don't know, not deep enough into the minutia of it to know whether they do.
Now, this whole thing wouldn't have happened. It sounds like the third base umpire fell asleep and missed the call.
Well, nobody's watching, right? Everybody. I mean, you had so many things going on in the play, right?
An umpire is supposed to watch.
Well, except think about it. If you have the line drive to the second baseman and then the ball is thrown into left field, you have to believe that the third base umpire is watching the ball roll around in left field. So maybe it's the home plate umpire's.
But isn't it his job to be, prepared for every contingency, every possibility?
It's an unusual play, right?
Yes.
So
the runner on third has to tag up. It is a fly ball, even though it's a caught ball in the air.
Sure, and the runner at second's getting back because that's where they threw it. And the runner at third is presumably getting back too, but he changed course as soon as the ball went into left field.
All the other umpires are excused in this play. Number one, the second base umpire is going to have to make the call. His focus is on second base. Ball 4 to Campbell as Hale continues to unimpress. Second base umpire's got to make the call for the potential double play, so his focus is on second base. The first base umpire can probably see this, depends on where he's looking, but at home plate is got no responsibility. They both could have been following the ball, but the third base umpire's responsibility is the runner, so he blew it.
Here's Dilson Herrera, and he grounds one toward the middle of the diamond. Simmons flashes over and makes another good play to end the inning. He just has so much range. Ball's up the middle against a lot of shortstops. Simmons made that one look easy. That gets Hale through the third. Still 3-0 New York. First ever National League Championship Series in 1969, best 3 of 5. Mets outscored the Braves in high-scoring affairs in the first 2 games, and then Game 3, Hank Aaron and Tom Seaver with Bob Murphy. Mets got a great relief outing from Nolan Ryan, and they beat the Braves in Game 3 at Shea to clinch that in a 3-game sweep.
I remember it well. That was the first time as a kid that I got a look at the 7 train and the people coming in down the stairs from the 7 train over the right field fence.
So you probably saw me that day, because I was coming off the 7 train.
Little did I know.
Sitting up in section 48 in left field. But I made it down to the field after the game.
Yes, I'm sure you
got my little piece of turf. It was a Monday afternoon. Take off from school and everything.
Isn't that great?
11 years old. Mike Minor left the game after 1 inning. John Neese has worked around base runners in each of the first 2 innings, facing David Hale, who's worked 2 innings in relief. And he makes quick work of Hale. Second strikeout of the night for Neese. So 1 out of the 3rd, now to the top of the batting order, and Emilio Bonifacio. Bonifacio drew a walk, stole a base in the first. Well, the wild card spots in the National League are almost decided. The Braves are still alive, but hanging by their fingernails. The Brewers are still alive, but pretty much lost hope last night when the Pirates rallied late to beat them. Milwaukee's 4.5 behind Pittsburgh, with just 9 games left to play.
Just a huge win for Pittsburgh last night, and obviously a devastating loss for Milwaukee. I would like, even though it's my old squad, the Cardinals, I would like to see the Pirates close to 1.5 and make it really tough down the stretch.
Well, that's going to be hard to do tonight, because the Cardinals are out to a 5-0 lead on Cincinnati in the 4th. Tony Cruz hit his first home run of the year in that game. Cruz, by the way, is catching tonight, and Yadier Molina is playing first base. First time they've had Yadi playing first base this year. So the Cardinals off to a fast start. Meanwhile, Milwaukee and Pittsburgh, no score in the 3rd. That's Matt Garza and Edison Volquez. 1-2, and Bonifacio jumps up in the air for no particular reason. That pitch wasn't even close to him.
No, it wasn't.
That was very strange. I mean, he just went straight up and down.
I know. What can I tell you?
Oh, full count. Sometimes you see things that just you're not expecting to see. Three-two coming. Bounce down to 3rd. Charged by Murphy, and it goes right under his glove. Bonifacio is going to try for 2. Young's throw not in time. Bonifacio using his speed for both getting aboard and getting the extra base. Murph charged the ball the way he did because he was fearful of Bonifacio's speed.
The ball hit hard enough for him to take. He tried to get the short hop. It's just poorly played. Murph's not a third baseman. Hasn't played third in a while, so we'll cut him some slack there. But it was improperly played, and Bonifacio has always been a hustler. So that's a 2-base error.
Let's see which way they score it.
That cannot be a base hit.
Official score hasn't decided yet, and they've scored it a double. I told you need to wait. This is Atlanta, Georgia, baby.
Oh my gosh! Where were these guys when I played? Hartford.
Second hit for the Braves tonight. Goslin swings and misses at the curveball, and it's 0-2. Goslin struck out at looking his first time up.
Wow. Murph should take him out to dinner. Knees. And do other things to him.
Well, you know, unlike when you played, there's now a mechanism by which a player, and any player, can challenge an official scoring decision. So, for instance, Nice could challenge the decision, and we go to a Major League Baseball committee, and they'll take a look at it and decide whether it was improperly scored. And it's a process that goes on quietly, but apparently it is utilized quite frequently.
That's a huge mistake. I'm sure that was it negotiated by the union?
I don't know that.
I have no idea, but somehow it became an issue and was agreed upon, and it should not happen.
Well, it's better than what it used to happen, which is that the player would scream and yell at the official scorer. Now at least they have a mechanism of challenging it without personal confrontation.
Other people can. When you're on the road, you had no argument.
There goes Bonifacio. Goslin strikes out, and Darno got whacked as Bonifacio steals third. So Darno, who has a habit of getting hit on these swings, gets hit again, right on the top of the helmet.
Well, he had to slide over and block the ball and got hit in the coconut.
Remember, he suffered a concussion just that way early in the season when Alfonso Soriano got him. So it's a stolen base for Bonifacio, a strikeout for Nice, 2 out in the inning. And Freddie Freeman takes the cutter outside for ball 1. Freeman bounced out to short his first time up. Bonifacio with 2 steals tonight, 24 now for the year. And that one's rolled foul. Now past Doug DeCenzo, Braves third base coach. Freeman broke his bat. The big game in the American League tonight is in Houston, of all places. With Oakland and Kansas City both losing this afternoon, Seattle with a win could tie for the top wild card spot in the American League. But Houston has a 5-1 lead against Chris Young and the Mariners in the 3rd inning. Chris Carter hit his 37th home run for the Astros tonight.
There's a lot of game left. The Dodgers today blew a 5-run lead in Chicago, did they not?
Yes, they did. One coming. Grounded. Herrera makes the play on Freeman. Side retired. So Nice works around the generous double for Bonifacio. Still 3-0.
Didn't get to the big leagues till later in his mid-late 20s. Steve Carlton had a chance to catch him, did not.
363 wins for Sponny. Mets upcoming schedule brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealer. Just a handful of games remaining Final game of this series tomorrow afternoon, then 3 in D.C. and 3 at home against the Astros to close out the season.
I can say, Gary, and isn't this great, that I saw Warren Spahn pitch against the Giants when I was a kid at Candlestick Park.
As a Brave or as a Met?
Brave. Bravo.
Spahn finished up his career
60
with the Mets. 65, I think.
Right, 65.
Well, Warren Spahn pitched for the Braves as a Boston Brave, and with foul ball catches Laird.
Right.
So now both catches have gotten whacked. And as a Milwaukee Brave, but he never pitched for the Atlanta Braves.
Right.
Because they didn't move here until 1966.
He was a great pitcher, obviously. Could hit and had the full windup where he brought both his hands up over his head. Had a turnover screwball, control pitcher. Fabulous. He was the AAA manager in the Cardinal chain at Tulsa for around 3 or 4 years, and ironically the year that he left was the year that I came to Tulsa.
He strikes out on the changeup from Hale. That's Hale's first strikeout in relief. So Spahn pitched in 4 games as a 21-year-old for the Braves in 1942. Then he missed 3 years with military service and most of 1946 as well. So his first full year in the big leagues was 47, and he was 26 years old. And he went 21-10 that first full year.
How many years did he win 20, Gary?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's how you win 363 games.
Thank you very much.
So I'm wrong. His last appearance in the big leagues was not as a Met. He went from the Mets to the Giants. During the 65 season and finished up with San Francisco.
Right.
Pitched in 20 games that year for the Mets and 16 with the Giants.
I saw Jim Bunning pitch a game at Candlestick Park. Saw Marichal pitch a lot, obviously. Those are all great memories.
Mike McCormick, great left-hander.
Yep. I go back as far as Willie Kirkland as the 4th outfielder for the Giants, when they had McCovey in left, Mays in center, and Felipe Alou in right.
Punched the other way, and Simmons picks off the line to retire Young, 2 out.
If you're wondering why, this is the great range of Simmons. We saw him go up the middle. Now we get to see him go to his right. Easy play for him. McCovey came up as left fielder because Cepeda had first base locked up. Jimmy Davenport at third, Jose Pagan at short.
And I think McCovey is relevant to the Jacob deGrom Rookie of the Year conversation, because McCovey didn't come up until late June that year.
Right.
And really played half a season, but was so impressive that he won the National League Rookie of the Year with that 59.
Believe so.
Murphy's been on base twice with a hit by pitch and a walk. David Hale working his 3rd inning of relief. Mike Minor forced out after 1 inning with shoulder discomfort. 2-1 to Murph. And now 3-1.
Jeez.
Travis d'Arnaud would be next. Hale has walked 2, struck out 1 in his 2 2/3 innings of relief. And Murphy lifts 1 to shallow left. Simmons with the angle, puts it away to retire the side. Hale has his first 1-2-3 inning. We go to the bottom of the 4th in Atlanta. Mets 3, Braves nothing. Mets with a 3-0 lead. John Neese with 3 scoreless innings under his belt. He'll take on 4, 5, and 6 in the Atlanta batting order. Upton, Johnson, and Simmons in the home fourth. The Washington Nationals are clear as far as having clinched the National League East, but they got a very important addition tonight. Ryan Zimmerman was activated. He's starting and playing left field for the Nats tonight. It's going to be very interesting to see how they work Zimmerman into their lineup.
Really?
Justin Upton lined out to second base his first time up, and he swings and misses at a changeup. Juan Jaime, the right-hander, up in the Atlanta bullpen. I mean, it doesn't appear as though they're ready to play Zimmerman at third base again.
And he had a hamstring this time, right?
Right. But I just think, all the water under the bridge with him at third base, and Rendon played so well there.
Yeah, but with him at third and Rendon back at second.
Better offensive team.
Yep.
Than with Cabrera.
Who are you going to take out of the outfield?
Well, that's the problem. They're not going to sit Harper. They're not going to sit Span. Span's been great.
Going to sit Worth?
Not going to sit Worth. Nope. I honestly don't know what they're going to do, but it gives them tremendous depth going into the postseason.
It probably, I mean, it's going to be problematic for them if they're not putting him at third base. And this was a hamstring injury this time.
Upton lines it to left, but Eric Young right there to pick it off. Another hard hit ball for Upton, 1 out.
And it makes you wonder if his shoulder issues aren't resolved, because his throwing has really been, the last couple of years bad. And it makes you wonder, will they move him to first base, let LaRoche go? But that's a lot next year.
Yeah.
But they're going to miss a left-handed bat in that lineup. They're going to become top-heavy on the right side.
Well, but even just looking ahead to this postseason, as Chris Johnson steps in, and he loops one over the head of Flores, a base hit. So a 1-out single for Chris Johnson. Even looking ahead to this postseason, would you even think about, say they face Kershaw, would you think about sitting LaRoche and playing Zimmerman over LaRoche at first base?
We have to look at the numbers. What's LaRoche hit against Kershaw first, number one?
I mean, we just played the saw the Nats last week. And LaRoche isn't having a great year against lefties, but still he's their best home run hitter.
And a good glove. And you remember the old days in the 60s where you thought you could hide someone at first base. So you're going to put Zimmerman over there. And
pretty inexperienced.
And that can blow up in their face.
It's going to be fascinating to see how Matt Williams handles all that.
So in the perfect world, Zimmerman goes back to third, but we don't know if he can throw or not. We're going there, Gary, so you'll get a first-hand view.
I'm sure we'll watch him, and I'm sure they'll play him at several different spots over the next week to try and get a handle on exactly what they have.
And that's got to be something that Kevin's got to go. Kevin will be back and go in there and find out from Matt Williams how he's throwing.
Down to third, might be a double play. Herrera with a turn, 5-4-3 double play. Side retired. After 4, Mets 3, Braves nothing.
to get your head over your kick up, your striding leg, your front leg, and see what the point of release. So basically you want to have his head lined up with the knee, and that's perfect right there from John. I've never heard that before. I just found this out from our expert producer Greg Picker, who's real expert on pitching.
Mr. Picker was a noted college pitcher.
Yes, he was. He would know. And there's a new pitcher, Juan Jaime. He's was a September call-up. It was up earlier in the season, but been called up in September. And here's another guy that hasn't pitched for quite a while. He hasn't pitched since the 15th.
This may be the Mets' first look at Jaime. He's making his 13th appearance. Made his debut with the Braves back in June. And he'll be the third Atlanta pitcher of the night. A night that Freddie Gonzalez had to go to his bullpen a lot earlier than he anticipated. Mike Minor left after 1 inning. He's on the hook in this game. Gave up a run without a hit in the first inning. Left with shoulder discomfort. David Hale went 3 innings in relief, 2 runs and 5 hits. And now it's Jaime, the 27-year-old rookie who was originally signed by the Montreal Expos. That's how long he's been around professional baseball. 10 years in the minor leagues and getting his first crack at the big leagues this year. Travis d'Arnaud leading off. d'Arnaud is flying deep to left and grounded into a fielder's choice, 0 for 2. And Jaime throws one by him at 96 miles an hour.
He's a hard thrower. Got a good arm. Big, strong guy.
Duda on deck, Flores to follow. Happy birthday. Nice to see you.
Enjoying a ball game?
A better way to spend your birthday. Lucas Duda on deck. I believe we have a wave coming.
We do have a wave.
I knew that noise had to be something out there.
But after all these years, Met fans out there, you and Met fans watching, no one did it better than you in the 80s.
I mean, back when it was new and cool?
It was something that I got a big kick out of. As back in the days of the Curly Shuffle in the 7th inning stretch.
Curly Shuffle was the best.
Such excitement in the ballpark, huh? Unlike today.
2-2 to d'Arnaud, who's hitless in his last 10 at-bats.
But it's September.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if the Mets are able to contend next year for the first time since they moved into Citi Field. What that ballpark's going to look like during a pennant race. d'Arnaud takes one down the right field line. That's a fair ball skimming into the corner. Bonifacio fumbles it, and so d'Arnaud's going to try for third, and he'll make it easily. Travis d'Arnaud winds up at third base with nobody out. Bonifacio, not accustomed to playing right field, had trouble with it along that outfield fence after it kicked out of the corner, and we'll wait to see how they score it.
Well, this is what I like when Travis does not try to pull. He can naturally go that way and drive the ball. And it is misplayed by Bonifacio in the corner. And the inexperience shows through in spades there, and the hustling d'Arnaud has himself a trip.
And they will score at a triple. The infield comes halfway in at second and short against Duda.
Lucas is starting to fly his shoulder a little bit. If he's going to take that first pitch, take it stride as if you're going to hit it. And make sure you tuck that shoulder, that front shoulder, and drive at the pitcher. whenever I took a pitch, like it was the first pitch of the game, I never took it la-di-da. I took it as if I was going to hit it with my stride so I can get a bead on the velocity, the movement.
Change up from Jaime. 1-2 to Duda, who had a sacrifice fly to drive in the first Med run. Wilmer Flores waits on deck. Well, if that wasn't an error on Bonifacio and the play earlier wasn't an error on Murphy, what does it take to commit an error in this ballpark tonight? Duda strikes out of the changeup, and that's the first out of the inning.
Lucas took 2 fastballs and then never saw a pitch to hit. And you see he's just out in front there, and he's got to bring it back a little bit. I can see the triple being scored on the ball down the corner, but the ball at third base, please, that's a 2-base error.
Now the infield comes all the way in with Flores at the plate. Wilmer single to left his last time up. Darno with third and 1 out. Who's Hot is brought to you by Tom Warner Cable. Enjoy better. Who's hotter than Wilmer Flores, who's base hit in the third, gives him a 7-game hitting streak. And hitting for extra base power, driving in runs, and a chance to drive in another here. But Jaime beats him with a fastball, and it's 1-1.
You're going to get a fastball from Jaime.
Wilmer bounces one for Simmons. Nice backhand pickup. And the low throw handled by Freeman, and Darno stays put at third. Oh, boy. He is a magician, isn't he?
Nice play. Played it a little loose on the throw. He's got great hands.
And that's a hard play that he made look simple.
He's got nice hands. You cannot teach hands. Good hands. If the Lord gave you stone hands, you got stone hands. You haven't got a chance. If He gave you nice soft hands, you can go far.
So after the leadoff triple, Darno still at third with 2 out for Granderson. Curtis drove a double to left center to lead off the second, then was thrown out at the plate trying to score on Eric Campbell's base hit. That's of a 3-0 lead, but they could have a much larger lead. It gets away from Laird, but Darno is not going to try it. Probably wisely so.
Yes, he would have been dead to rights. Just missed it. Goodness. It's a segue right from stone hands. Wow.
These newer ballparks, so little room behind the plate. Granderson hits it out to center, and B.J. Upton puts it away, and so the Mets get a leadoff triple, and Darno is stranded at third. Halfway through in Atlanta, Mets 3, Braves nothing. Braves and Fios Quantum TV. That's powerful. Juan Jaime wins the high-speed pitch award. John Neese, though, has thrown 4 scoreless innings tonight and has himself a 3-0 lead as the lower third of the Braves order comes up in the bottom of the 5th. Gerald Laird flied out to right. A nice running catch by Eric Campbell in the 2nd inning. B.J. Upton on deck, and then the pitcher spot for the Braves in the 5th. And Neese's first pitch curveball in for a strike. Well, the former Met Chris Young, not the outfielder but the pitcher, has had a really nice season for Seattle. But in a very big game tonight, he had a really bad night. Pitching in Houston with Seattle with a win, able to take over the top wild card spot in the American League. Chris gave up 4 home runs in 3 innings plus, 7 runs and 8 hits, and Houston's up 7-1 as they go to the 5th over the Mariners. And Laird is done quickly, 3 pitches, and Neese has his 4th strikeout.
2 curveballs and up the ladder fastball. High target intended, and that's where you want to put it.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now B.J. Upton, who had a comebacker his first time up. Toward the hole, and that's a base hit for B.J. Upton. So the Braves have their 4th hit against John Neese. And we'll see who the Braves send up. Joey Turdoslavich has come out on deck to pinch hit, but he's going back in the dugout.
Looks like Gomez.
No. That's Evan Gattis.
Gattis, you're right.
Evan Gattis, who hasn't played in 11 days because of strep throat and a kidney stone.
They're looking for a home run
Yeah,
here.
with a chance to get quickly back into this game. They will send Gattis up for his first at bat in quite some time.
Well, they're trying to get the fans riled here. It's been a ball club that cannot score. They have yet to score against the Mets.
Gattis, 22 home runs on the season, hit .270 as the primary catcher for the Braves after Brian McCann left as a free agent. Gattis' 2nd big league season, and he bounces one down to third. Murphy has to back off to play the hop, and the long throw in time to get Gattis as Upton moves to 2nd. Well, once Murph backed off, there was no way he was going to be able to turn 2, so he gets the sure out at first.
Well, plays the long hop, shows the strong arm, right on the money.
So 2 out, Upton now at 2nd, and back to the top of the batting order for Bonifacio. James Russell, whom the Braves got in a deal with the Cubs at the trading deadline, is up in the Atlanta bullpen. Bonifacio, who was also picked up from the Cubs, has been on base twice tonight with a walk and a double, sort of. He has 2 stolen bases. He's still steaming about that scoring decision. Upton at 2nd and 2 out, and a cutter for a strike to Bonifacio. Bonifacio, with his walk and double tonight, is now 6 for 12 in his career against John Neese. One of the reasons Freddie Gonzalez had him in the lineup tonight. There goes the runner, and it's fouled away. B.J. Upton stealing 3rd with 2 out with his team down 3 runs.
Just statting pads, stats. It's just ridiculous.
I just don't understand that.
It's padding stats. Meaningless stolen bases.
Now it's 0-2 to Bonifacio. Out to right. Campbell moves over and picks it off to end the inning. So Neese able to negotiate around another runner in scoring position. Braves have yet to drive one in this series. view of the Georgia State Capitol here in Atlanta. There's a lot of gold in that dome, you know, real gold.
Built in 1889, so think Sherman marched through Georgia in '65. That's 24 years after Atlanta basically was leveled.
They rebuilt the place nicely, except for the traffic. Lefty James Russell comes on in relief for Atlanta.
Well, he was for the Cubs, was the guy that worked just about every day. But there's a bunch of left-handers on this Brave team, so his appearances have dropped. But having a decent year.
So Russell will face the Mets in the 6th, and we'll check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary's going to face Eric Campbell, who's already got one hit on the night, but he's really come back down to earth since that torrid hot start to his major league career. At the All-Star break, Eric Campbell was hitting .340. Since that time, he's under 200. Now, what's been the change? Well, if you remember, right when he was so hot going into the All-Star break, he was also playing every day. David Wright had that injury, took some time off, so Campbell was starting at third base quite often. And what he said was he got into the habit of really trying to drive pitches. He was seeing the ball well, and when you're playing every day, you can drive pitches. And he kept that going when he went back to his part-time role, which, as Eric Campbell described to me, it's just the wrong approach. He said your timing is never quite right when you're playing in a part-time role, and when you're trying to drive the pitch, your bat goes through the zone much quicker than when you're not trying to drive the ball. And so what happens when your timing's off and your bat's not through the zone for as long, you're fouling off a lot of pitches, you're not making good contact. So what Campbell's trying to get back to doing right now, as you see him drive that pitch foul right there, but as you're trying to, or what he's trying to do right now, is approach it like you do on the first couple of days of spring training, where you're worrying more about your hands, staying back on pitches, making contact, and going into center field or the opposite way, which is how he got his hit tonight.
Well, that makes perfect sense, and you know, basically a much shorter explanation is when you don't have your rhythm for playing every day, you can't be up there wailing. You've got to go up the middle and be compact until you find your rhythm. When you play every day, you get into a rhythm, then you can start unloading.
Down to Johnson at third, and Campbell retired.
So, Steve, I agree 100%. I know exactly what Campbell's trying to say. I don't agree like you go back to spring training the first couple days, but to me, it always was, if I lost my rhythm, and that's a slump, even when you're playing every day, I always pretended like there was 2 strikes on me every pitch, and worked up the middle until I got my rhythm back, and then you get that pitch that you can take a little extra hard swing. So I know exactly what Campbell's talking about.
Here's Delson Herrera, and Russell starts him off with a curveball low. Herrera drove a 2-run homer down the left field line in the 2nd inning to put the Mets up 3-0. And Russell quickly ahead 0-2. I guess what I would ask is, as you adjust to being a part-time player, which, you know, if Eric Campbell is going to stick around in the major leagues, it's probably going to be as a part-time player. How do you get to the point where you can figure out how to, you know, drive the ball when the situation is appropriate?
It comes with experience, Gary. And what you have to do too is, as I said the other day, always the extra players come out early and hit. They've got to take more BP than the everyday players. They've got to stay ready because they're not out there every day. And you know how I feel that the everyday players today take too much BP.
Herrera pulls one over the bag. Nice diving stop by Johnson, but no chance to throw him out. And Herrera comes up lame as he crosses the bag. Oh, that's a bad sight right there. Herrera legs out an infield hit, but clearly hurt.
That's a little hammy if you. Oh, quad maybe.
So Delson Herrera, who had himself a home run earlier tonight, an infield single here, and
it's his quad.
Motioning to Ray Ramirez that it's his right quad that is grabbed, and he's going to come out of this game.
And more than likely didn't grab it. More than likely is going to leave him out the rest of the year and let it heal.
Well, that's a shame for Herrera.
Yes.
He sat out a couple of days, came back last night, looked good, got a hit and a diving play in the field. Tonight a home run and now another hit. But he's going to come out and Ruben Tejada will replace him as a pinch runner. Let's see if we can figure out where he hurt it.
Well, he's busting. Makes a nice play. He's busting down that line. Oh, it seems like he did it after he came through the bag.
Yep. On the deceleration.
There it
right
goes.
There.
There it goes. Too bad. Doggone it.
So Herrera will go down to the clubhouse, get some treatment. Meanwhile, John Neese up to try and bunt, pulls the bat back, looking for the butcher boy, and takes ball one.
Well, the treatment right now is just going to be ice. You're going to, because you always ice the first 24 hours. After the 24 hours, then you begin the treatment.
Now Russell behind on the count, 2-0. Dilson Herrera, the youngest player in the major leagues, has certainly made an impression. Hit his third home run in fewer than 60 at bats.
Well, I got to believe Flores is going to go over to second base and Tejada is going to go to short. That's too bad.
You can see Dilson limping as he heads to grab his stuff and heads toward the clubhouse.
It's got to go lay down on the trainer's table and elevate that leg, because right now all the swelling because of all the bursted capillaries. There's got to be a sense of urgency to get him inside, lay him down on his back, put a couple pillows and elevate so the blood doesn't rush down, and ice.
There's ball four, so Neese up there to try and give them an out, but Russell walks him. And the Mets have two men on. That's the fourth walk issued by Atlanta pitching tonight. And now back to the top of the batting order for Eric Young. EY is 0 for 2 in a walk tonight. He walked and scored leading off the game. Tejada the pinch runner at second. Neese at first with one out. Also the fourth Atlanta pitcher of the night. The starter Mike Minor left after one inning when his shoulder acted up. David Hale gave them 3 innings. Juan Jaime 1, and now Russell working the 6th. And EY fouls it off at the plate. 0-1. Bit of a late season theme, isn't it? Players dropping. David Wright missing the rest of the season. Juan Lagares hurt his elbow, might miss the rest of the way. Dick Black shut down for the year. Dana Evelyn shut down for the year.
The Mets have certainly had their issues with injuries late.
But late, yeah. I mean, it was not an injury-plagued year by any means.
No.
Young lifts one to shallow right, and Bonifacio's there for the second out. Mets have had years like that, but this has been a little bit different. The most popular way to follow September baseball is with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, replay reviews, scores, live radio broadcasts, the MLB.TV game of the day, and more. Get at Bat for your smartphone or tablet on the App Store, or visit MLB.com. David Wright making the trip with the Mets here to Atlanta.
David more likely was playing with that bad shoulder for more than a while.
There's Murphy with 2 out of 2 on. And Daniel takes inside. Mets have already left 6 runners on base through the first 5 innings. They've had plenty of chances to have more than 3 runs on the board. Had a runner thrown out at the plate in the second. Had a leadoff triple and didn't score in the 5th. Murphy hits one to deep right center field. Back in the gap goes Bonifacio to the warning track, and he makes the backhand catch. Well, we saw Bonifacio make a difficult play in the corner that ate him up. This one a very tough play for a guy not accustomed to playing right field, but he's able to range back and take an extra base hit away from Murphy and save a couple of runs. Nicely done by Bonifacio. Keeps it 3-0 New York. TD Bank, America's most convenient bank. That's got a run in the first and a 2-run homer from Dilson Herrera in the second. And John Neese has made it stand up. Braves have yet to score in this series. Wilmer Flores slides over from shortstop to second base, and Ruben Tejada stays in the game at short after Dilson Herrera left with an apparent quad injury. Neese will face Phil Gosselin to lead off in the home sixth inning. Gosselin has been up twice and struck out twice, and he takes a strike. Well, the Braves have been in free fall in September. They are 4-12 this month, and they've gone from in contention very rapidly to out of contention. It was back on August the 23rd that the Braves CEO Terry McGurk said that everyone in the organization is accountable. Since he made that statement, the Braves are 8-16 as Tejada ranges over to get it. 1 out. 8-16. They've been shut out 7 times in those 24 games, and they've averaged 2.3 runs per game. It certainly raises the question, what's going to be the aftermath this season after the Braves collapse for the second time in 4 years?
I guess he made him nervous.
I don't know. I mean, they certainly didn't respond to the gauntlet being thrown down. Remember, in 2011, they had that horrible collapse at the end of the season. Freeman hits one deep to right field. Campbell back on the warning track, has rolled and has it. 2 out.
Well, they haven't won a playoff series since 2001, the Bravos.
At least they've been in the postseason. Yeah, I mean, they won 96 games last year.
I'm not disparaging them here.
But this is a franchise that's accustomed to getting to the postseason. They won 14 straight division titles in the 90s and into the 2000s. And it appears they're being held to a high standard. So what's that going to mean? Does that mean that Frank Wren, the general manager, Freddie Gonzalez, the manager, are their jobs in jeopardy? There's Justin Upton. He takes a strike.
I would probably think it would be the managers and some coaches that would always go first.
Upton's hit the ball hard twice tonight, lined out to second and to left. And the curveball misses high 1-1. They have confirmed that the injury to Dilson Herrera is a strained right quad. So you'd have to believe that's going to be the last we see of Herrera this season. Hit hard, foul, and it makes you wonder now, when we'll next see Dilson Herrera. Clearly he'll be in spring training next year, but you have to guess that his 2015 will begin in AAA.
I would think so, for more seasoning because of his age. Like we said before, unless he has a spring training, an ungodly spring training. And then, even then, it probably would be have him sent down and getting more seasoning in AAA. And if he just has a year like he had this year in A-ball and AA, get him up.
Swinging a foul tip, held by d'Arnaud. Strikeout number 5 for John Neese, and he has himself his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. Neese getting stronger as he goes along. 6 scoreless innings for John, and a 3-0 lead for the Mets. Your weekday, join Suki, Corey, and the gang from 5 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home. James Russell starts his second inning of relief for Atlanta as we go to the 7th. Mets with a 3-0 lead. Travis d'Arnaud leads off. d'Arnaud last time up against Juan Jaime, line went down the right field line for his second triple of the year, and he takes the curveball up and away from Russell for ball 1. d'Arnaud, Duda, and Flores for the Mets in the 7th. Braves forced to go to their bullpen early and often tonight after Mike Minor left the game with shoulder discomfort after the first inning. They're having a little beanball war in Pittsburgh tonight. Matt Garza ejected after hitting Andrew McCutchen twice.
That's 0-0 in the bottom of the 5th.
Well, it's obviously a game that, Milwaukee's got to win every game from here on out to have a chance. And having their starting pitcher ejected, and apparently their manager Ron Renick ejected too because both benches had been worn. That's not going to help. 2-1 to d'Arnaud, and he fouls off the changeup. 2-2. d'Arnaud's triple snapped an 0 for 10 in the 5th inning. He tripled leading off, but the Mets left him stranded. And he goes down swinging on the high fastball. First strikeout for Russell.
out of the strike zone.
By the way, in Miami, Ryan Zimmerman just legged out a triple, so I guess his hamstring is okay.
Don't think there was a collective holding of breaths.
Lucas Duda 0 for 2 had a sacrifice fly to drive in the first Met run in the first inning. Lucas now with 28 home runs and 86 runs batted in. Started the night tied for 9th in the league in RBIs. And I think, beyond the home runs, that's where the change has been for Lucas this year. Last year, so tentative in RBI situations, and this year, more aggressive and more successful.
Well, he's getting a lot of valuable experience this year off the left-handers. 27 of his 28 home runs have been off the right-handers. Hasn't had a whole lot of, actually, you can't even say a sprinkling of extra base hits against lefties. But he stays in.
Out to left center, and Justin Upton is over. 2 out. Well, whether he hits a lot of home runs against lefties or not, he's got to figure out how to get some hits against lefties. His batting just 170 against them.
But half the battle is the first thing you look for in any hitter, whether it's righty, righty, lefty, lefty. You see if their fanny flies out or their front shoulder flies out. You don't have a chance if you're that. If you do that, if you stay in, Lucas stays in and goes right at the pitcher. Hopefully he'll make the adjustments. As you get more familiar with the pitchers, you look in every now and again to keep them honest. Those are all things that you can do. But you have to be able to keep that front shoulder in and to be fearless. Lefty, lefty, righty, righty.
1-1 to Flores, who's 1 for 3 tonight. Gets jammed and fouls one. Beyond the reach of Freeman. Nice effort by Freddie. Curtis Granderson would be next. Always making friends in the on-deck circle. One-two, and Flores hammers one right to Simmons. And so Russell has himself a 1-2-3 top of the 7th. Stretch time in Atlanta. John Neese back to the mound with a 3-0 lead.
Brother's going to catch on. There you go. Just a little slow getting in with the rhythm.
The whole world's a dance. Chris Johnson leading off in the home seventh against John Neese. Johnson has one of the 4 Atlanta hits tonight. A single to left his last time up. This has been a very different kind of year for Chris Johnson, who last year hit .321, but is struggling to keep his average over .260 this year. Flies this one to shallow right. On comes Campbell, and he makes another catch. Eric Campbell's done everything asked of him tonight in his first career start in right field.
That is a little easier play, a long way to run, but once you get there, you make that play. But he's done it all out there tonight. Every opportunity, he's sparkled, Mr. Campbell.
So 1 out and nobody on. Neese has now retired 6 in a row. And here's Andrelton Simmons, who singled and grounded into a double play. And he flies one deep to left center. Back in the gap goes Young. And he gets there to make the catch at the edge of the warning track. Well, Neese using his outfielders tonight, and it's worked well.
I actually think that this ballpark here, Gary, is bigger than Citi Field.
Oh, I agree. This one was built for the Braves pitching staff in the 90s.
Yep. This is a big ballpark. It's 380 out there in left center field, where Young caught that ball. Over in right center field, it's 390.
We are a little bit above sea level here, and that does help the way the ball carries, but nonetheless, it's a big ballpark. Play of the game brought to you by the 2014 Mazda 3 with seamless connectivity. This was the earlier play by Campbell going to the line against Laird.
That was a fair ball, too, and that would have been double. Runner on first base at the time.
Well, the Braves have been swinging aggressively. Neese has been in the strike zone. His defense has played well. And as a consequence, John has kept his pitch count very low. There's another chance for Young in left field. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Neese with 3 fly balls. Took him to 7 pitches to get there. After 7, 3-0 New York. Garen, Chipper Jones.
I think you're right there.
Del Negro above, Dale Murphy below.
Nice group.
Well, it's a franchise that's been around since 1876 in 3 different cities, so they've got a lot of great history. David Carpenter will be the 5th pitcher of the night for the Braves.
Well, another decent year by this young man here. .349 earned run average. Another guy that's tougher on left-handers than right-handers, which will tell me that his breaking ball gets him in trouble.
Well, John Neese has thrown only 79 pitches through 7 innings. John has gone 8 innings on 2 occasions this year, but never 9. The way things are going tonight, he might have a chance for it. Curtis Granderson will lead off in the top of the 8th. Curtis is 1 for 3 on the night, doubled back in the 2nd. Campbell and Tejada to follow. Neese do a 4th in the inning. Carpenter's had a good year, but not nearly as good as last year when he pitched to a 1.78 ERA and a whip of under 1. Walks and hits per innings pitched was 0.99 last year. It's 1.27 this year. So he has not been nearly as effective. You see the line on Neese, who's been in command all night. Ball and a strike to Granderson. Granderson hits one deep to right. Back goes Bonifacio near the wall. It's out of here. Curtis Granderson with his 19th home run of the year greets David Carpenter to give the Mets a 4-0 lead in the 8th. The Mets' second home run of the night. Herrera with a 2-run shot in the 2nd, and now Granderson adds one in the 8th.
High fastball. Oh, belt high right down Broadway.
So Granderson has his 19th, his 62nd RBI. And now Campbell is 1 for 2 and a walk, and he flares one right at the second baseman Goslin for the first out.
There's the home run right there. It's just a batting practice home run. You still got to hit it, but right down Broadway, and Curtis makes him pay. 19th. Be nice if Curtis can get 20 home runs.
Now Ruben Tejada will bat for the first time. Tejada took over when Dilson Herrera strained his quad, beating out an infield hit in the 6th. Herrera went 2 for 3, including a 2-run homer, and that may be the coda on his season.
Well, it's pretty obvious that this Brave team has packed it in, what it seems like. They just got no life. They haven't been running ground balls out.
Well, it's hard to tell with the Braves in one aspect, which is that even when they're going well, even when they're in the race, it's a team that's just trying to hit home runs.
Yep.
And that's what they've tried to do tonight. Swinging early, just trying to hit the ball to the ballpark. 1-2 to Tejada. By the way, Herrera with his 2 for 3 tonight, if it is the end of the season for him, he will have 59 big league at bats, a .220 batting average, 3 homers and 11 RBIs.
He did a nice job. Showed some pop too. The 3 home runs is impressive, but he's a good line drive hitter. He's 20 years of age. I like what I saw from the get-go.
Ruben bounces one to third, and Johnson makes the play. 2 down. So 2 out and nobody on, and John Neese will take his 4th trip to the plate. John has been on base twice tonight with an infield hit and a walk. 7 scoreless innings on the mound. Last night Zach Wheeler went 6 scoreless, and the bullpen did the rest. And Neese, coming off a good start in a loss against Washington, has been even better tonight. Nice to see that John is finishing the year strong, because the second half of the season has not been all that friendly to him since he came back from the 2 weeks on the disabled list with shoulder problems. But this is his 3rd good start in a row coming down the stretch. He'll get one more the final weekend of the season against Houston before his season wraps up. By the way, in that series against Houston over that last weekend at Citi Field, the Mets are likely to face former Met Colin McHugh, who has had a really good year for the Astros. Remember when McHugh made his debut against the Rockies?
Pitched that nice ball game.
Right, and then things fell downhill for him. He hung a lot of curveballs, got hit very hard, but he has put together a terrific year for the Astros, and we are likely to see him next weekend. He strikes out to end the top of the 8th. Curtis Granderson adds to the Mets lead. Slams his 19th home run of the year. And East will take a 4-0 lead into the bottom of the 8th in Atlanta. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by your Tri-State Ford dealers. For great deals on cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers, visit tristateford.com. Look at the Atlanta Braves Hall of Fame. Bobby Cox, who was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown this summer. B.J. Upton leads off against John Neese in the home 8th inning. Upton 1 for 2 tonight, single to left in the 5th. That was the last base runner against John. Neese has allowed 4 hits. He walked the first batter he faced tonight and nobody since, and struck out 5. Joey Turdoslavich is out on deck to pinch hit. Can you say that 3 times fast?
Well, I'll leave that to you.
Name fits on his uniform and everything.
That's where you pitch B.J. Upton. Upstairs. He can't deal with it.
Plays off that one, 2-2. He's trying to get through the 8th inning for the 3rd time this year. He did it once against the Phillies, once against the Giants. Didn't get a win in either one of those games. Has himself a 4-0 lead tonight. That is the first 3-ball count for John since the 3rd inning. And Upton fouls one away. The second full count that Neese has had all night. And that's why he's thrown only 85 pitches, working in the 8th inning. Again, the 3-2 to B.J. Upton, and he fouls back another one.
come inside, John. Up and in and get him.
Driven to left. Young moves back and makes the leaping catch. Eric Young's been busy in left field the last several innings and made a terrific play there to take an extra base hit away from Upton.
Well, this ball's hit hard. Good jump by Eric. And he's a big leaguer. Once he gets there, you make the catch. Nice leap. Nice play.
So one hard out to start the home 8th inning, and now Joey Turdoslavich is the pinch hitter. Just 4 at-bats with the Braves this year. Spent virtually the entire year in AAA, and he's got himself a base hit. Against a first pitch curveball, Turdoslavich snaps a string of 9 in a row retired by Nice with a 1-out single.
That's a pretty good curveball by John right there that he ripped up the middle. Up and over the middle.
Just beyond Tejada's reach. And so Turdoslavich has the 5th Atlanta hit of the night. The only extra base hit tonight belongs to Emilio Bonifacio on a routine ground ball that went under Daniel Murphy's glove and was scored a double. Bonifacio has also walked. He's stolen 2 bases tonight. Last time up, he had a line drive to right that Eric Campbell caught. So Bonifacio's had a good night at the plate. And Nice runs the cutter way inside, 1-1.
I see Pittsburgh's in the 7th, 0-0. That's Edison Volquez. Who's he's up against?
Garza got thrown out.
Right.
5th inning.
So that's a big game for Pittsburgh to stay close to St. Louis.
Nice changeup by Nice, and Bonifacio with a wild cut, 1-2. Meanwhile, the Reds are coming back against the Cardinals. It was 5-0 St. Louis. Now it's 7-4 Cardinals in the 7th. John has struck out 6 tonight, make it 5. Hit sharply up the middle, and that's a base hit. Turdoslavich will stop at second. So Bonifacio has his 2nd hit of the night. And the Braves have 2 men on to the 8th.
Starting to get his pitches up, Garrett. Curveball up. There's a belt high fastball. I'm sure we got some stirrings in the bullpen.
So 3 hard hit balls in a row to begin this inning. Upton was robbed on a fine play by Eric Young. Now Turdoslavich and Bonifacio with back-to-back hits, and that gets Josh Edgin and Carlos Torres up. Phil Goslin, the batter, 0 for 3 tonight, and takes the curveball inside for ball 1. Goslin 0 for 7 in this series. Freddie Freeman on deck, Justin Upton behind him, so the Braves starting to make some noise with their big hitters coming up. Still looking for their first run of this series. And the curveball in for a strike, 1-1. They got shut out last night. They've been shut out so far tonight, and they face Jacob deGrom tomorrow afternoon.
I'm looking forward to that. I always look forward to Jacob pitching.
Coming off his 13 strikeout performance last time out. That's hit hard, a base hit for Goslin. They'll hold Turdoslavich at 3rd, so 3 straight singles load the bases, and that'll get Freddie Freeman to the plate as the tying run.
Well, all of a sudden, and that's going to be it. With Edgin up, there comes Terry.
And he'll go to the bullpen right now. So Nice has a shutout intact. He's got a relatively low pitch count, but he's gotten hit hard here in the 8th inning, and he's going to come out. And Josh Edgin will try and pick him up. John does not want to give up the ball. Does so very reluctantly.
It's the right move.
Call the bullpen brought to you by McDonald's. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's. Nice is out, Edgin is in. We'll be right back to Atlanta.
Josh has had himself a nice year. His last outing was the final game on Wednesday against the Marlins. He came in that 7th inning in relief of Dylan G to get Christian Yelich out, but give up a 1-run double. That was the only batter he faced.
Doslovich at third, Bonifacio at second, Goslin at first, Freddie Freeman the tying run at the plate with 4-0 game. Freeman 0 for 3 tonight, 0 for 5 in the series. John Neese, an interested spectator. And Freeman swings and misses at a first pitch slider, 0-1.
Mets are not guarding the line, Gary. The corners are wide open. The good slider, good spot. Freeman trying to go downtown first pitch. Here's a slider to try to pull.
Freeman 2 for 6 in his career against Edgin. And he tries to hold on that one, and he stopped it in time. Mark Wagner with the call, 1-1 to Freeman. This is undoubtedly a one-batter assignment for Edgin. Look at that half swing. Currently stopped. You got Upton and Johnson and Simmons to follow. Right-hand hitters all. Carlos Torres ready in the bullpen. Probably a day they'll stay away from Familia. Justin Upton on deck. 1-1 to Freeman. And that slider catches the plate, much to the dismay of Freeman. Mike Winters called it a strike, and it's 1-2.
Well, I thought it might have been outside, maybe a little low.
Might have been both. But that's a very big call for Edgin.
Yes, it is.
Throwing up 3 sliders in a row. And another line into center for a base hit. Bogdanovich scores. Bonifacio will be waved home. A 2-run single for Freddie Freeman, and the Braves score for the first time in the series. And it cuts the Mets lead to 4-2. Well, Edgin got a break, got ahead of the count, and he threw one slider too many.
And he threw a lazy one up there and hung it. No one wants to throw inside anymore to keep anybody honest when they're ahead of the count. The hitters are just going to lean. Too much plate.
Well, Edgin for the second straight appearance gives up a run-scoring hit to a left-hand batter, and he will exit. And Carlos Torres will come in with the tying runs now on base. Call to the bullpen brought to you by McDonald's. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's. 4-2 Mets in the 8th. We'll be right back.
Second night activity for Torres, and actually the third consecutive game with the off day in between. A clean inning last night. He has been very, very good.
They face Justin Upton with 2 runs home in the 8th. Both the runs charged to John Neese. He's responsible for 1 more. He left with a shutout intact and left very reluctantly. Edgin gave up the 2-run single to Freeman. And now Justin Upton with the tying runs on base. And takes a fastball for a strike. Upton's never had a hit against Torres. He's 0 for 12 against Carlos. Upton, though, has hit the ball hard twice tonight, despite going 0 for 3. And Justin fouls back the cutter, and now it's 0-2.
Well, now the strike zone there now puts Carlos right in the driver's seat. 0-2.
That opens ball with 7 strikeouts against Torres, who's not a big strikeout pitcher. But Justin Upton has struck out 162 times this year. Goslin at second. Freeman the tying run at first. 1 out. Wondering why no Familia? Well, the Mets are trying to limit his appearances late in the season. He pitched well last night. Well, they're trying to stay away from him tonight, and that's why it's Torres. Here's the 0-2.
Past the mound toward the middle. Tejada runs it down and gets the out. Beautiful play, Ruben Tejada, on a ball that appeared ticketed for center field. Instead, it winds up a 6-3 putout for the second out.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know if Flores gets to that ball, Gare. Playing up the middle, right over the bag. Beautiful play. Boy, oh boy, I know his momentum is carrying him into right field. If he could have had any, Flores didn't go to the bag.
Yeah, he was not going to get the Forest there.
Right. But Flores is.
So now you got the tying run at second base. Chris Johnson, the batter. Johnson 1 for 3 on the night. Second and third and 2 out. And Johnson goes after the cutter and didn't come close. Johnson, like Upton, has struggled against Torres. He's just 2 for 14 against him. Dumped down to first, and Duda makes the play, and Torres gets 2 king-sized outs to keep the Mets in front. The Braves get 2 to cut the Met lead in half. 4-2 going to the ninth. Great deal on a Honda. Mets were up 1-0 in the second when Dilson Herrera put a charge into one. His 3rd home run in the big leagues. After the last one he hits for a while. He left the game later with a strained quad after beating out an infield hit. Mets have a 4-2 lead as we go to the ninth, and the Braves will turn to their 6th pitcher of the evening, left-hander Chasen Shreve.
Well, Shreve pitched in the first game, went 1 clean inning, the left-hander. You can see 10 games, 9 innings.
Better against the right-hand hitters than he has against the lefties.
There's a lot of lefties that way that you can't get left-handers out. Or if you have a left-hander in your bullpen that can get lefties out, you keep him. He's gold in the bank.
Gerald Laird with a long conversation with his rookie left-hander before he goes out to the top of the Mets batting order. Young, Murphy, and d'Arnaud in the top of the ninth. The Mets 4 runs and 8 hits. The Braves 2 runs and 8 hits. That should have Henry Mejia available for the save opportunity in the bottom of the ninth. Last night, the Mets had a 2-run lead going to the ninth. They scored 3 and took away the save opportunity. So Buddy Carlisle finished the game. So it's a rested Mejia available tonight. Eric Young takes the pitch low from Shreve. Eric is 0 for 3 and a walk, and there is Henry getting himself ready. Jason Shreve, 24 years old, out of the College of Southern Nevada, the same school that produced Bryce Harper. Young lifts one to left, and Justin Upton standing right under it. 1 out. The night began for the Braves with Mike Minor on the mound. Minor struggled his way through the first, left with left shoulder discomfort, gave up a run, and he's on the hook in this game. David Hale gave up 2 runs and 5 hits over 3 innings. Juan Jaime worked a scoreless inning. James Russell 2 scoreless innings. And then David Carpenter gave up the Curtis Granderson home run in the 8th. And now Shreve in the 9th. Daniel Murphy 0 for 2. He's also been hit by a pitch and walked tonight. Last time up, he hit one deep to right center, and Bonifacio in a nice play running it down on the warning track in the gap. Murphy faced Shreve in the 8th inning last night and had a base hit, his 4th hit in his 4 for 5 night. Looking ahead to the last of the ninth, the Braves will have 6, 7, and 8 in the order coming up. Simmons, Laird, and Upton. To Murphy, and it's down. Braves have plenty of left-handed bats on the bench. The question is the biggest bat on the bench available? That would be Jason Hayward. He sat out the last 2 games with a thumb injury. We saw his thumb wrapped up last night. Haven't seen him on the bench tonight. Let's see whether that thumb is still wrapped or whether he's available. We saw Evan Gattis pinch hit earlier. He had been laid up for a week and a half. A broken back grinder for Simmons. And a high throw, but Freeman able to stay on the bag for the second out.
Off the end of the bat, chased a bad one. All those bats splintering today.
Time to order some new lumber.
Balsa wood.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Travis d'Arnaud. Travis is 1 for 4 tonight. An opposite field triple in the 5th inning. His 2nd triple of the year. And d'Arnaud hits one slowly. Johnson comes in and boots it. And d'Arnaud is safe. I suppose the way the scoring has gone tonight, that'll be a hit.
E5.
Of course, but you've noted how the scoring has gone tonight, and they will give Johnson there.
Didn't get down on this ball.
So the Mets are allowed to have their inning continue, and Lucas Duda will get an extra swing. Lucas 0 for 3 and a sacrifice fly tonight. That's the first error in this series for either side. Shreve fires low, ball one. Chris Johnson, just his 6th error of the year. I would not have thought that. Look out for America's best new game show. It's the Celebrity Name Game with Craig Ferguson, and then it premieres this Monday at 7:30 right here on Pix 11. Craig Ferguson, funny man. His country is still part of the United Kingdom. And Duda held the swing, 2-1.
Well, now the question is, will England stay in the EU? Will that be their next referendum?
I don't know. Maybe the Welsh would like to split. 2-1.
Well, I was going to say, I had a British friend text me the other day that they were watching the voting, and I said Edward I would roll over in his grave if Scotland left Great Britain. He was the hammer of the Scots.
Duda badly fooled by that 3-1 slider. The hammer of the Scots?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Longshanks. He was a warrior king, and he actually pounded Wales into submission into the kingdom, and then went after Scotland and kind of pounded them too. He was a warrior.
Duda's on with a walk, and the Mets have 2 men on.
He was the king in the movie Braveheart, the British king, Edward I, which was played by William Wallace, was played by the British actor. You don't remember? Come on.
I don't think I saw the movie.
Oh, Mel Gibson.
There you go.
Patrick McGowan played Edward I in that film. So there you have it.
Yes, indeed. There you have it. So now Wilmer Flores bats with 2 out and 2 on. I was just afraid Macbeth would get disconnected.
That's way earlier.
I know, before Scotland was part of the UK. That's drilled foul, and a great catch by the ball boy on the fly.
Very nice.
Like it was nothing.
Left-hander. Didn't even leave his seat.
2 hands.
Sign him up.
Wilmer is 1 for 4 tonight. Batting here with 2 out and 2 on at the top of the 9th. And he flies one down the right field line. Bonifacio over near the sidewall, reaching, and can't quite make the catch. Challenged the fans for it, and couldn't quite get a grip. Nice effort. He's played a really good right field all night. Freddie Gonzalez is going to argue for fan interference, but there's no way that ball was on the fan side of the railing, so you can't even start to argue that.
And in your home ballpark.
Well, if the fan reaches across the railing into the field of play and interferes, then you got a case. Good thing it's not a big game, because otherwise those folks will all be a bunch of Bartmans. Here's the 0-2 to Flores, and he skips out of the way. 1-2.
He almost had it. He got his glove on it.
Well, he had a lot of competition.
He sure did.
Ball boy got annoyed with the fans. You see that reaction? Bonifacio has done a nice job out in right field. An unfamiliar spot for him, just as Eric Campbell has for the Mets in his first start in right field. 1-2 to Flores, and he grounds one for Simmons, and that'll do it for the Mets in the top of the 9th. Now it's off to Mejia, land for the bottom of the ninth with the Mets up 4-2 in Atlanta.
Was brought to you by your Tri-State BMW centers. By Time Warner Cable, enjoy more shows on more screens. Time Warner Cable, enjoy better. By Volvo. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. And by Chevrolet, find new roads. Thought I'd give you a break there.
I love when you read the billboards. It's one of my highlights.
Just thought I'd give you a break.
Nice traffic, by the way. If only it really moved that fast. Henry Mejia on to the save opportunity in the last of the ninth.
Henry going for save number 27. He's been pretty doggone good in that role. But they've been tough coming lately. He's given up hits. Look at his innings pitched to hits. That's you never want to see that.
While he warms up, I have an obligation I have to fulfill.
Yes. Oh, you do. You're right.
Columbia got hammered by Fordham again this year for the umpteenth straight year. They should retire the Liberty Cup, but because I'm always good for my debts. Here we go.
I'm going to turn my volume down. Go ahead.
Hail, men of Fordham, hail, on to the fray. Once more our foes assail in strong array. Once more the old maroon wave on high. We'll sing our battle song. What do? We'll do or die. Fordham fight song.
I should have took my phones off. I was doing this. I didn't realize.
That's for the immortal Chris Majkowski over in the radio booth. We have this yearly bet. Loser sings the winner's fight song. Unfortunately, I sing a lot more than he does.
You got a better voice, too.
I don't know. Have you ever heard Madge sing?
Oh, that's right. Madge is a baritone, is it not?
Great baritone. Andrelton Simmons leads off against Mejia in the last of the ninth. Simmons 1 for 3 on the night. Ramiro Pena has come out on deck to bat for Gerald Laird. And Jason Hayward is leaning up on the dugout railing. Doesn't look like he is available to pinch hit for the Braves. They do have lots of left-hand hitting, though, on the bench. They've got Ryan Doman. There's Hayward, who's out with a thumb injury. They've got Jose Constanza. They've got Tommy La Stella, all from the left side. 1-1 to Simmons. That's out a 4-0 lead going to the bottom of the 8th. The Braves got 2. John Neese left with a shutout intact with the bases loaded. Josh Edgen gave up a 2-run single, but Carlos Torres came in to get 2 huge outs to set it up for Mejia. And Simmons goes after the off-speed pitch and fouls it off. 1-2. Henry continues to use all 4 of his pitchers as a closer. Not too many do that. game in Pittsburgh is now in the 8th. Pirates and Brewers are still scoreless. St. Louis now up 8-4 on Cincinnati. That's in the middle of the 8th. But he ahead on Simmons 1-2. To the right side, Flores, the underhand toss in time to get Simmons, who stumbles after running through the bag, but he's okay. Remember, he came back from an ankle injury last night. He's limping a little bit.
Duda has to hustle back. Flores lets him get to the bag. Nicely done. You can see the discomfort. Simmons is hustling here. Oh,
we'll see about Simmons after the game. Day game tomorrow, final game of the series. Ramiro Pena, the pinch hitter. And the switch hitting Pena takes a strike. Pena hitting just .218 as a left-hand batter, .286 from the right side. B.J. Upton, the on-deck batter. And Pena dribbles one foul, and now it's 0-2. He already the youngest Met reliever to record 25 saves in a season. Going for number 27 tonight. 0-2 to Pena. This is away with a changeup, and it's 1-2. Trying to save John Neese's 9th win of the year. John, with his effort tonight, lowered his ERA for the season to 3.50. 1-2. A little bit low. 2-2 now to Pena. B.J. Upton on deck. Pitcher spot behind him. Now the 2-2. Chopped off the plate, a foul ball.
Like to get a nice clean 1-2-3 from Mejia.
Henry's last time out, he worked around a single and a walk in a non-save situation for a scoreless inning against Miami. That's a foul ball, and it stays 2-2 to Pena. His last save came 8 days ago against the Nationals. And 2 non-save appearances since. Again, the 2-2. Just off the plate. Full count to Pena.
No walks. That missed clearly. Pena right on top of the plate.
So Mejia got ahead on Ramiro Pena. 0-2. Now he's gone to a full count. This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat with 1 out and nobody on. Line toward the middle, base hit. And the Braves will get the tying run to bat in the bottom of the 9th. Nice at bat for Ramiro Pena.
Well, 3-2. Get me over slider. Up. Out over the plate.
Look at a pinch runner. Jose Constanza will run for Pena at first base. Remember, it was Constanza who messed up Daniel Murphy's knee a couple of years ago. B.J. Upton, the tying run at the plate, 11 home runs this season. He's 1 for 3 tonight, and he goes after the first pitch fastball and fouls it off. Ryan Doman has come out on deck to pinch hit for the pitcher. Doman got the start in right field last year.
Oh my goodness.
The Mutt Jeff look at first base.
Paul Bunyan.
Lifted to right center. Easy play for Campbell. 2 out. It was a little surprising when this inning began to see Campbell still in right field, Granderson still in center. You got Matt Dendecker, an outstanding outfielder, sitting on the bench. But Terry Collins would ride out with the outfield that he started, and now he's got 2 out of the ninth. And Ryan Doman, the final hope for Atlanta. Doman started in right field last night with 0 for 4. He has 5 home runs this season and 150 at bats.
Keep the ball away. Dead pull hitter. He's going to be looking to try to launch.
Doman is 0 for 3 in his career against Mejia. Tying run at the plate, 2 down. And Doman takes a breaking ball for a strike. Houston has beaten Seattle tonight 10-1. The Astros hit 5 home runs. They routed Chris Young. So Seattle still a half game back of the second AL wild card. Pulled down to first, off the glove of Duda, recovered by Flores, and the ball game is over. Duda to Flores, back to Duda for the 3-4-3 putout, and that's how this one ends. Mejia gets the save. John Neese gets his 9th win. Dilson Herrera hits a home run before he gets injured, and the Mets have taken the first 2 games of the series in Atlanta as they win tonight 4-2.
Nice play by Duda there, just to block the ball. But the big plays tonight, here's how it ends. Nice dive, nice carom off his glove right to Flores to end the ball game. This would have been 1st and 3rd with the go-ahead run on coming to the plate. Duda knocks it down. Nicely done. Ball game over. Mejia gets his 27th save. Home runs by Herrera, his 3rd 2-run shot early. But the big hero of the game has got to be Torres in that 2-run inning that the Braves in the 8th. He came in with the men on base and got the last 2 outs of the inning. Squelched the fire.
Game summary brought to you by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Curtis Granderson hit his 19th home run. The down note of this game was Dilson Herrera, after hitting his home run and beating out an infield hit, hurt his quad, and he may well be done for the final week of the season. Mets win 4-2 to keep their hopes for a winning season alive. We'll come back with more from Atlanta in just a moment.